Hey, and welcome back to the channel. We're back at this series of liking and disliking sports and displaying our reasons. Now, we just did a video on 5 things we like about tennis. Now it's time to complain a little bit. Anyone who's
Which is always more fun, right?
it is. It's more fun to complain. It is. So, if this is the first time you've watched us or seen us and you don't know anything about us, yeah, we do like to complain. So, this is going to be a fun video for us. So, I have 5 things I dislike about tennis. I actually have more than 5 things. I only wrote 5 things down. You have 5 things, I think, prepared as well.
I do.
Okay, do you mind if I go first? And
No,
read
no, not a bit. Go ahead.
So the first thing I have written down, and I'm sure it's on your list too, is grunting. It's just... It's just like, it doesn't improve your game. Why are you doing it? I don't understand it. It's just, it seems silly.
I read one theory that some players grunt at the time they strike the ball to try to overpower the noise of the ball being struck by the racket, therefore giving the opponent less intelligence of the kind of contact that was just made with the racket. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard that some people grunt for that reason, because it masks the sound of the ball coming off the racket, which makes it a little harder to play.
There is no good reason to throw a grunt in there. It's not needed. It's not required.
I totally
Think about
agree.
all of the other hard-hitting sports and all the other sports in general. No other sports do it. It's just tennis, and it's weird as... I can't even say the word. Because
Weird
it's
AF.
It's not, yeah, it's not appropriate for me to say the word. Word I was thinking of. But grunting, no.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, controversial reffing. Now, this is something that's actually happened recently.
Very recently.
And the internet blew up, I think, that day or that day after.
Sure did.
Of the situation. We're not going to get into it and what happened and stuff, but there is controversial reffing and potential favorism in there's controversial reffing in tennis and potential favorism in tennis.
Is that like favoritism? Is it the same thing?
What did I say?
Favorism.
Whatever. I don't care. I was trying to think of... I think I said something wrong earlier, and I was trying to think... Anyways. You know what I mean. So, I just went on Ricky on there.
Yeah.
Anyways. 3, too many false serves. It's sometimes it's really frustrating. You just want to actually watch the game and it hits the net or whatever. It's just... It reminds me of football a little bit, where there's a lot of waiting around to watch the sport being played.
They get 2 chances at a serve.
And that's okay. That's part of the game. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I'm not happy with that. If I was going to change one thing, I agree with you, and I might have different lists, but I agree with you on that one. If I was going to change one thing about the game of tennis, is I throw out the 2 services.
Excellent.
That way, the first serve, you'd have fewer aces, because there's that first one, they're just pounding it. They're just trying to just blow it past, and it's fun to watch that kind of power. But it's not so much fun that I'm wanting to give up 30 seconds of my life every time.
Yeah, exactly.
To get the second serve, because the first serve often doesn't work.
But the good thing about it is you get to see the ball people, which was a plus in our other videos. So.
I suppose.
Number 4, they spend, to me, more time looking around than actually playing the game. So this kind of relates to the one I just mentioned. They spend so much time not playing the game that it's really frustrating to me. It's like golf in a way too. I guess golf is a good, because they switch from hole to hole depending on who's hitting and stuff. But if you had to watch just one person on one hole, it would be boring.
Oh yeah, you'd want to.
It'd be 20 minutes of someone walking and 45 seconds of someone actually playing the sport. So
Yeah.
I feel like tennis is a little bit like that. It's just a lot of looking around and not actually playing. The last one I have is every location looks the same to me. Now, you made a good point in the last video where sometimes they play on clay and glass and concrete or whatever, and that's fine. I like that. But overall, to me, all the places look the same. Like, there's no really open areas. The stands are always kind of in the same area. The ads and the walls and it just all runs together for me. There's nothing special to me about each location.
All right.
Again, we don't have to disagree. We don't have to agree, and we don't agree about everything. But
We certainly don't.
let's hear yours.
Okay. My 5, they start off with, particularly in the men's game, is the overwhelming dominance of just a couple of players. I like Novak Djokovic a lot, and I like watching him play. He has emotion, You can see it on his face. You can see how hard he's working at these things. But then you've got Nadal, and you've got, well, you used to have Andy Murray, and you had a few other players that were almost always around in the finals. And that's great, but you're seeing the same people over and over and over again. It's starting to break up a little bit now, like in the U.S. Open, that just concluded a week or two ago. Nadal did well early on, but he had to pull out of a match with an injury, I believe, and had to forfeit, and then, a different pairing was actually up for the finals in the men's side. And in the women's side, that's where the controversy happened, where Serena Williams had a blow up, really, or several, and got penalized. And some people think it was fair, some think it was unfair. The jury is out on that, and there's no point for us getting into that controversy. But I did see replays of her, and I tell you, in the NHL, which is a rough and tumble sport, if a player went up with and took off the glove and did that to a referee or a linesman, boom. And these are grown men, and they'd be gone.
Misconduct, yeah.
So when I see that kind of arguing with umpires and what I would consider abusive officials, and this isn't new. John McEnroe was a bad boy at tennis, and the things he did, and now he's a commentator. And I really like him and Patrick both, his brother. They're both tennis players, and they're great commentators. And I like the fact that they're in there because they have such a great insight into the game. But when he was playing tennis, I couldn't stand him because of the way he went on. He was such a brat. And some of these other players are spoiled brats, and the way they abuse the officials as if they can end the official's career. And the official's just sitting up there in a chair. They're not there because, I'm sure they're not there because they want to be on a power trip. They just want to have a fair game and get out of there because they don't want to be in the spotlight. So anyway, that's that dominance and is something that I wish I saw a little less of, where you just saw more different players that were a little less. Or a little more parity, I guess.
Yeah,
I
a little more
want to
parity,
say. A little less dominance. Annoyances. Now, this is a pet peeve of mine, but some players have nervous tics or things that they do as they're getting ready to serve or receive a serve that drive me nuts.
Like
they just drive me nuts.
Before every serve, they have to bounce the ball 3 times.
Yeah.
And
Nadal. This earlobe, that earlobe, and he does this and he does that and he does that. Like he fiddles with the sweat on his face every single time he goes to do something. He does this and he does that and he does that and he does that. Like, just play the game.
All right.
Stop that stuff.
Kind of like goalies in water bottles.
Exactly. Exactly. The other thing I don't like is, and this goes to some of the delays, and when they're not playing, this supports one of your 5, is I think if I were in charge of the world of tennis, it would be during breaks after the game, you can go and get a towel as wet as you want by rubbing it all over your body. But during the game, you don't ask for a towel every 3 seconds.
Yeah,
and some person runs over with a towel, and then you wipe off this and that. Handle your sweat. Deal with your sweat and play the game.
I was thinking about putting that down, actually.
Yeah.
Too much towel
much towel tossing.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
And it's become way worse. I don't think it was ever this bad before.
They're obsessed.
And they want the towel because it gives them a break.
Yeah.
But now they have started a countdown clock.
Good.
Which is great. And there's been a few clock violations that I saw, which is awesome. And maybe that will reduce a bit of this towel business. But, there's way too much toweling going on.
Toweling. All right.
Yeah, way too much.
What else you got?
Sometimes the length of the game, as much as I said in the video of the things I liked, was the speed of the game. Sometimes the length of the game just goes way too long. I like the idea of having 3 sets per match for both men and women. 5 sets for a match, it's very much an endurance competition, and it makes for some great tennis, and I've watched some 5-set matches, but not everybody has 4.5 hours out of their day to watch that, either in the stands, on the court, or at home watching on television. Any sporting event that wants to have broad customer appeal really needs to be over in about 2.5 hours. Yeah. And I think a 3-set match would tell you everything you need to know about the talent of these 2 players. But when you go to 5 sets, and now 5 sets and a tiebreaker, at the very end, it's very exciting, but I don't think it's worth it.
It is grueling.
It's
for sure.
So grueling. Yeah. I already talked, I guess, about the bad behavior when it comes to officials, so I won't add that. But that's one of my 5. And the last one of my 5 is your number 1, the grunting.
Oh, yeah.
When I'm watching tennis, and I don't have a favorite player. I did in Andy Murray. I like Andy Murray, and he's not. Of course, there are Canadian players like Milos Raonic, and also this new Denis Shapovalov, who's a younger fellow who's coming up, and he may be a great player someday, and he's already darn good. So as a Canadian, I want to follow them and wish them well. Same thing with Jeannie Bouchard. When she does well, and she's very much cold now. This used to be, a few years ago, she was quite hot on the circuit as far as the doing well and getting into semifinals, quarterfinals, and so on. So I do like to follow the Canadian players just because it's part of my duty as a citizen. But other than that, I don't. I have players I dislike a bit, but I don't really have players I go crazy for. If it's a good match, I'll watch it. If it's not a good match, I won't. And when I decide who I'm going to cheer for in a particular match, because I'll always pick one, I'll say, oh, I think today I'm going to pick that one. It's almost always because they're doing the least amount of grunting.
Yeah, it's bad. Like we already talked about it, so I'm not.
Who are you cheering for, Dad? Whoever's grunting the least would be who I'm cheering for.
I completely agree with that. Yeah.
It's just so annoying.
It's distracting.
It's very distracting.
And it's comical, and not really in a good way. Not like the ball people.
And the grunts are so different.
Yeah.
Like some of them are just, ugh, and then the other player, poo,
yeah.
poo.
Did you ever watch a video of turtles having sex?
I have not.
The sound that they make, I'll show you to you after this video.
No, you won't.
It's not dirty or anything. The sound that they make reminds me of the sounds they make in tennis when they're grunting and stuff. Anyways, we'll stop this video here so I can show them that video.
I think we're stopping it about 30 seconds too late, actually.
So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I don't know what sport we'll do next, but we'll sit down sometime and talk about some sports. We still need to do lacrosse, F1, a bunch of other stuff.
F1.
And ping pong.
Can't wait.
So, yeah.
F1, I can't wait.
Oof.
Oh.
All right, subscribe if you're not already. That would be awesome. Like this video down below if you like this video. And we'll see you in the next one. Adios.